of mine. I know him as Bungie. His name is actually Dr. Breandán de Gallaí, and he's going to say a few words for us to kick things off. Give him a hand.
The opportunity to do our first screen dance piece with Michelle Manahan and Catherine Lyons, producer. Michelle's the director, and we did a piece called Chase, and it was great to have it hosted here. And it was an engagement with dance that was unusual for us, but it was a great outlet and a great way of thinking about how to make dance work in a different way. I said the preceding March, but for this, I was thinking about conflict, like obviously conflict and the conflict we're experiencing right now in terms of the very obvious ones of the Ukraine and Palestine. But if you Google it, the amount of ongoing conflicts is really astonishing, and really makes you reflect on our humanness, our lack of it, and how we can be monsters, but also that we're capable of great compassion and great empathy. And we find ourselves in these moments in different capacities. So for me, the importance of arts in crisis is threefold. In the first instance, it's that the arts to be used for audiences and for artists as a way of making sense of the world and making sense of themselves and finding some meaning. Secondly, in terms of the documentation of history through representation, through the visual. And thirdly, then, to make an impact and to mobilise people to take action when things aren't good. And if you think about the second one, the documentation, where I think of the likes of Picasso's oil painting from 1937, Guernica, and how it depicted through the abstract horrors of war. And when I think of the third one, mobilising action, I think in particular, because it stuck with me, Catherine Young's State of Exception, and she was working with the asylum seekers and refugees in direct provision centres, and I found that she made really, really brave and very risky creative choices. And I remember, I don't know if I remember it absolutely correctly, but in the project, she had what were like, metal. They were like thick metal rods above us in the sense of oppression, and they kind of went out because of the perspective, it was as if they went out into infinity, and that weighed down so much on us. So then she took this moment where nothing happened on stage for what felt like an eternity, and it was, you really just understood at that point what it's like to have nothing happen on a daily basis, on and on and on. They have very little money, they have nowhere to go, and it just hits you in the gut, that experience, and that is the power of the arts. And then when I look at the first one, which is us as audiences and us as artists, and that therapeutic nature of it. And when we think about COVID, how that was shut down for a lot of us, artists, and our normal contexts were taken away from us, but yet the public embraced the arts in a way probably that they hadn't before, because they needed to ease the pain of isolation or that not knowing what's coming next. And there might have been, hopefully, kind of like, not so far for all of us, but that there might be a little bit more support of the arts as a consequence. But I also think about, and this is the sad story, but it's okay, my own use of it, and that kind of dealing with crisis and trauma, and how the arts can really bring us a sense of meaning or understanding or catharsis. And so I've started working on a project because, not too long ago, I had a terrible loss. The love of my life passed away very suddenly, and just to find something to believe that there was a future. And for me, it was the Irish word is ilachracht, or pilgrimage. And I'm not religious, I'm actually an atheist, and I'm not that spiritual, but it was the physical body moving forward. And that to me was incredibly important, because the act of going forward, or the act of moving, was enough for me to believe that there was a future for me. And that then had to be satisfied in some way through the art. So I started working on a piece, an homage to Declan, and it was to let go of all the chattering monkeys, as I call them, what you're asked to do or what you're told to do to be an artist, and to be really true to the authenticity of your own practice. And I just let all those shackles fall to the wayside and just do the piece. And it was done through film, the first instance, because we had to apply for another round of funding, so I had to have something to show for it. And I could see that it depicted that experience. And I wanted to create something that was universal, not my story, not an homage fully to Declan, but something that we all experience, which is loss. Whether that's a child losing their helium balloon because they let go of it, or the loss of a child, or the loss of a lover, the loss of a parent. And I just felt, there it is, it's in the body. Mind doesn't need to make sense of it or parse it, it's in every fibre of our bodies. And I think this is something we need to harness, because crises will continue to come, and we have to use the arts as a way of mobilising, of documenting, of finding meaning, catharsis, and it's our responsibility to use them for that. So I hope the festival is a huge success, and I wish it all the best.
I am of Ireland, come dance with me in Ireland. And that's kind of a reflection of the oral culture and the verbal culture that was so predominant in our society. And it's not just connected politically, socially, or historically, it's also an artistic history, an artistic foundation that she was talking about. And that doesn't just happen in isolation, because even I was looking up the date of the first performance of The Rite of Spring. It was in May 1913 in Paris, where Stravinsky's Rite of Spring was performed for the first time. And that led to riots in Paris. So it wasn't just happening in Ireland, that kind of emphasis on basically a denial of the physical body. And that's what Mary was kind of articulating when she gave that phrase. So it's like a cultural oppression of physical expression. That's how I would describe it. Paul Woodruff, who's a theatre philosopher, describes dance theatre as an art form where human beings make human actions worth watching in time and in space. And my sense with this festival and the importance of art and dance at the root of this festival is not just a physical form, as you all know, but it's a visual form. So it's going against the contrary of what our traditional artistic forms of expression are, namely the oral and the verbal that I've already articulated. And there's really four things that I'd like to say as part of this festival, but just to underline what I'm trying to articulate tonight. Firstly, is that people who work in dance and people who work in physical theatre like myself and movement, what we're trying to do through our work and through the way we work is to create a model world. Now, what do I mean by that? It means that we work together in such a way as an ensemble. Ensemble is French word for team. So that means that even somebody who's on stage for 2 seconds is as important as somebody who's on stage for 2 hours. I often say to my students that the most important character in Hamlet, bless you, is Fernando. You might say, who's Fernando? Fernando opens the play when he hears a noise at the castle gates to ask the question, who's there? If Fernando doesn't ask that question, we can't have the play of Hamlet. So that's kind of an example of what I mean in terms of that sense of the ensemble and the way that dance people and movement theatre people generally work to try to collect that sense of an ensemble where an audience will be seen as in, and when I say audience, it's collective of the individual. They will be seen on a screen for who we are and how they get on. So it's to make that work visible, it's to make that work feelable, and it's to make that work touch all the way to the cell level. So that's what we're trying to do, I would propose, in the way that dance practitioners work together and that physical theatre practitioners work together, is that we're trying to create a model society as a way to combat the physical times that Breandán articulated. And that doesn't just mean the obvious, as in Ukraine or what's happening in Gaza. It also means just that sense of being able to speak your mind. The question of freedom of speech is very much under threat right now. The question to engage in discourse, that you could be called out for making a statement or almost cancelled for giving your opinion. And that's what not just artists have given their lives to, but many, many people who've gone to greater extents to give that sense of a freedom of expression. So through our work, we are trying to meet the violence of the present moment, the violence of the present times, and that's why dance and physical theatre, particularly on the screen, is so important, because what we're trying to do is to create a moment, or moments, that actually stop time, stop the literal sense of time, that stop and move both the audience individually and indeed collectively. Because film and dance, you're trying to, and through the work of physical theatre, what we're trying to do is create what Anne Bogart terms two opposites. The best example I can give of that, if you know the film Cabaret, where there's a close-up shot of a blonde-haired boy just about to sing "Tomorrow Belongs to Me." So we have that intimacy of that shot, of him singing that song, a very beautiful looking boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. And as the camera moves out away from the frame, we get to see a whole crowd of people singing along with him. So it goes from the intimate and the individual into the collective and the societal. And then as it further pans out, it goes into the landscape. So even in one single shot, we see a progression from the individual to the societal and the effect that that can have. So that's what we mean by two opposites. We've got an intimacy in that shot, and we've also a collective responsibility in that scene, or a collective. It's a collective commentary really of how quickly we can be changed, how quickly we can lose our sense of meaning. And that's why this festival and this work is so important, because what we're trying to do thirdly is, as I've already said, not just work together as an ensemble, but to create what Paul Woodruff would term as the goose pimple factor. What do I mean by that, Michael? I mean that it behoves us as the individual artist, whether you're working in dance or in theatre or in physical theatre, it behoves the individual artist to be sensitive to your pulse. That in itself is a place, that physical theatre, dance, theatre, it's a place of intensity. It's a place where we are responsible as artists, because what we've got to do is reflect and hold a mirror back to our individual and collective audiences. What we've got to do as part of our work is create and cultivate enthusiasm, because that's all part of the violence that we meet at this time. There's such a strong emphasis on criticism, such a strong emphasis on apathy, such a strong emphasis on taking somebody down, or taking an opinion down, or taking a culture down, or taking a colour down, just because we've gone into this binary, highlighted world. And that's where dance and physical theatre, through this visual sense, and I would say visual both on the screen and on the floor, where we as artists practice enthusiasm. And how do we practice enthusiasm? Practice consistently, and secondly, a commitment to that consistent practice. Am I making sense here? Thirdly, what we're also trying to do through this work is that we're trying to cultivate neuroplasticity. Our bodies are stories. The way I walk is not just related to my training, it's also related to my family background, my father's background, my grandfather's background, my cultural background, the fact that I'm a man in Irish society. That's related, because you don't often see men physically expressing themselves outside of, let's say, the Saturday night disco. That doesn't really happen anymore. So our bodies are stories that we tell ourselves, that society tells ourselves. And that's why it's important for not just male artists, female artists working in these mediums to express that physical self that has been oppressed over many, many years. That's why it's important the strongest thing that you can do, according to one of my teachers, Anne Boger, is to actually try to finish your verbal sentence, to try and finish your physical articulation, to finish the gesture, so that the gesture is pure and full, that you're making a gift in that purity and in that fullness of gesture, rather than a half-baked gesture, or a gesture that's not completely finished. Does that make sense? And lastly, what we're trying to do through this work, as a way to stand to the violence of the times and as a way to stand up against conflict, is quite simply to reify courtesy. When I say reify courtesy, that means to cultivate respect, not just for the work, but much more importantly, because at the core of the work is the individual and the collective. So to cultivate respect with not just another gender or genders, but colours, different nationalities, different opinions, different ways of thinking, different ways of being. And that cultivation of respect is, according to T.S. Eliot, it is only since recently that the individual artist is judged by what they innovate. So the whole spectrum of professional criticism, quite simply, is only recent. It's a very, very recent thing. And what we're trying to do through our work, quite simply, is to reify that sense of courtesy, where the individual and the collective is not just respected, but that we give that person or people space to be dangerous, as in dangerous to take risks artistically. And that's why I think this festival is so important, and that's why I would wish Adrienne and everybody who's involved the most wholesome success.
All right, we're going to finish tonight with Adrienne.
Also, thank you for taking on the theme of conflict. I would have things to say about it, but I won't. We'll just keep going. My job really here today is to talk about the festival, what we're going to have at the festival. I also would like to thank Adrienne Brown and Eve Flynn McCool for coming from Inchicore College and performing a beautiful improvisation to the fantastic I won't improvise. So I would like to first of all thank the sponsors of this festival, and also to inaugurate and to welcome and to say Wicklow Screen Dance Laboratory 2024 is now launching. So yes, I would like to thank our sponsors, the Arts Council of Ireland, Wicklow Arts Office, Wicklow Community Support Fund, Spotlight Dance Studios, Inchicore College of Further Education, College of Dance, and Dublin South City Partnership. I'd like to I think I put them in twice. Anyway, never mind. Our partners, Mermaid Arts Centre, very sincere thanks to Mermaid Arts Centre. They supported us through the years and we're very grateful for that. The College of Dance, yes. Inchicore College of Further Education again, Dance Ireland and Spotlight Dance Studios. And I would also like to thank, I have been so lucky to gather a team of people around me. So I'm so lucky that from that rather tawdry beginning, I have producer Carrie Posowitz, communications and socials manager Sarah Eva Manson, operations manager Hannah Slattery, website management from Christian Daly, and technical manager Rory O'Sullivan, and digital production and streaming from Curtis Rodney. I'd like to set just the context for Wicklow Screen Dance Laboratory. It has a strong role within Wicklow and Dublin in creating opportunities for dance artists to make dance work and to show this work within laboratory and stage settings, along with film. very beautifully elucidated by both Michael and Breandán there also. So it also has a passionate commitment to bring international artists of calibre to Wicklow, Dublin and the Wicklow areas in the catchment for the festival, although it is open countrywide to participants and internationally to film contributors. So we send out a call for films and we get films from all over the world, which is one of the great joys of my life, is opening them up and looking at them. We serve a growing ecology of dance in the Wicklow region, and the serendipitous location of many film services that are not only in Wicklow but all across the southeastern corridor. The festival sees an opportunity to develop discourse around dance topics that are often not part of the conversation, filling a gap between knowledge and ideas outside of formal education settings. The notion of expanded choreography that occurs within dance that exists only on film or screen is also one that is relevant in the context of dance as an art form, and the festival gives an opportunity to that and momentum to that field of activity. The festival includes training intensives, a performance night here at Mermaid, a day at Spotlight down in Wicklow town. It is a conversation about the many forms of dance art, processes making and creating with international guest artists and academics. It features artists from Ireland who also excel in both performance dance and filmmaking. Screenings that include also early attempt and scratch work. So we're very interested in opening it up to people who've never made a film before. We welcome that. Indeed, a unique point of value of this festival is that it bridges early film or choreographic work with more established artists. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about the festival schedule for this year. So WSL Move, we have a 4-day dance intensive from March the 23rd to the 26th in partnership with Inchicore College of Further Education in Dublin. And our guest teachers and artists for that are Penny Diamantopoulou, who's from Greece, and Raphael Molina, who's from France. Both are former dancers and affiliates with the Martha Graham organisation in the USA, and they're current performers and choreographers with companies across Europe. This is an opportunity for dancers to immerse themselves in the technique and choreography of the Martha Graham work and their own creative work as well, for 4 days with these 2 dance professionals. And I want to just say that these are dance artists of huge high calibre, and I really want to send that message out. It is a rare opportunity. You won't find that so easily again, so please do. It is intended to be an exploration, this intensive, of the work of the legendary 20th century dance Martha Graham, dance master Martha Graham, as well as a place to create new choreography. Penny and Raphael are dancers who are versed in this outstanding work of Graham, as well as being part of the new inquiries into modern dance. There's a huge movement now of finding ways to link the legendary work of Martha Graham into the world of the going forward, as Martha Graham herself is now dead, passed away in 1990. So it's a real challenge for companies to know how to go forward, and they're doing that. And Penny and Raphael are very much part of that inquiry. So this intensive will be fun, joyful and deeply enriching for participants. The work that is created during this intensive will be performed here in Mermaid on the Wednesday of that week, and filmed extracts from the intensive will be also shown at the Artist Salon on the final day. The second thing is we have our what we call WSL Kino, and that is we have a 1-day film training with Marisa Hayes and Franck Boulet from France, both well known to WSL and both integral parts of the festival, and will be open to early or established film makers and choreographers, dancers, writers and interested newcomers. Marisa and Franck are leading experts in film and dance, having run their own festival in Bourgogne in France for over 12 years, as well as being invited curators to lead screen dance platforms in Avignon, Paris and Freiburg. Their relaxed and approachable, meticulous attention will give participants a chance to learn skills in film for dance. No equipment is required except a phone or a laptop and access to Wi-Fi. Participants will have the chance to create short film excerpts, which will be shown in the Artist Salon also Thursday night. So also we will have this year where we have put our call out for films to Film Freeway, which is an online platform to receive these films, and we have received a heartening response to films submitted from across the world. It is inspiring to see the level of creativity that has been going on in this hybrid and poetic new form of art expression. It's not brand new, but it's new-ish, dealing with ancient and contemporary themes, transcendental and ritual, compelling women's and men's issues, mental health, identity quests, sexual themes, along with a manifest connection with nature. This is one of the very special, I think, aspects of screen dance, is the placing of the moving body in really very unique positions in nature. So this rich treasure we will host 2 screenings during the week, and these will be online, and it is by donation, so you can pay as little as 50 cents and as much as whatever. The sky has no limit. But anyway, please do join us. We love to have an online audience, and it will be a moderated, open chat, so we receive your comments and it is moderated and we respond as well. And we do have audience looking from all over the world. We will be here again to have a curated evening of dance in Mermaid Arts Centre on the 27th of March, featuring a selection of choreographers from new and established dance makers. It will be a chance to showcase reflecting the physical nature of dance central to the art form. Some of our artists for this programme this year include Laura Mackin Dance, Or Dance Company, Lisa Teig, Nina Valenchuk, Alex Karachova and others. And then we will be finishing off with our day at Spotlight Dance Studios in Wicklow town, and if you haven't been there, you must go because it's a beautiful dance studio overlooking the sea. We will be there for the whole day on the 28th of March, and it will comprise, we will have a children's class, we will also have a community class with both Penny and Raphael, and a workshop around the topic of how we see dance. That is our theme for the afternoon. And then the popular artist salon in the evening. The artist salon is a conversation, again, with lively discussion and a respectful gathering of artists. We very much believe that interrogating and conversations around the arts are always to be held in respect for the process that artists are going through in putting up their pieces of art. Anyway, so it will feature live dance, filmed choreography, screen dance, and invited artists. So yes, again, we will have also performances from dancers coming up through the colleges of Inchicore College and College of Dance, and also other dance artists that we are in contact with. We are developing the program at this point. We draw on the concept of the artist salon that was popular in France and Europe in the 18th century, when art and politics and philosophy were considered topics worth discussing in public forum, and where art was central to civic life. WSL is proud to continue to practice in the 21st century in this context, and we look forward to a lively evening. I also just want to say, it should slip my mind to say earlier, we have a new development happening where we will have an evening of a kind of a launch event on the 23rd of March in Dublin in Inchicore College of Further Education. So there will be more of that on the programme, and we're deeply thankful to Dublin South City Partnership to support us in this, and many thanks to Uli Lowry on this one. So finally, just to finish up our growth, we are looking at our identity, our reach and our place within this country. Being situated on the east coast of the country, with Bray as our home, which is now one of the most popular and sought after places to live, I hear. Right next to the capital though, in Dublin, so the capital city is right beside us. And with the already seeded idea of the Southeastern Creative Corridor, which was initiated in 2016, this Southeastern Creative Corridor extends down from Bray just all the way down the coast of Ireland. We will be renaming the festival following our March outing. But don't worry, we will be still the vibrant experimental crucible that we have been heretofore. Watch out for a new name following our festival this year. We will remain always committed to the art of dance, making screen dance. Thank you very much.